Hey everyone, William Selway here and welcome to Hiring VAs. This video is going to show you how to trade your hard-earned money for time, because as an entrepreneur you need to be looking left, right and center for ways in which you can save time within your business, because if you are spending time on a task that can be easily outsourced to a virtual assistant, then trust me, in the long term you are going to make so much more money. The best entrepreneurs, the best 6, 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs, they repeat this process of trading their money for time. And even if you're worried about not having enough resources in your business or enough money in your bank account to outsource, trust me, let go of that, because the most exponential leaps you can take in growing and scaling this online business comes from outsourcing your most valuable asset, which is your time. As an entrepreneur, you only have time and energy every single day to putting into the tasks that take you to get to your goal. And if you are spending time doing things like sending emails, tracking metrics, like doing all these small little things that you know can easily be outsourced, then this is the module for you. And in this video, we're going to show you how to do this in the easiest and most linear fashion by hiring virtual assistants. Now, in this module, we're going to cover what should you outsource to a virtual assistant. What are the tasks that can easily be outsourced today to a virtual assistant to save you your most valuable asset, which is time. Then again, what are the things you should not outsource? There are certain things within your company which you need to keep doing, and outsourcing that to a virtual assistant does not make sense. There's a time and a place for outsourcing things. As a rule of thumb, if the task can afford to be fucked up, then you should outsource that to a virtual assistant. If the consequences of that action or that task getting fucked up is catastrophic for your business, you should never outsource that to a virtual assistant. You should look to either outsource that to a setter or an actual team member. What we're going to show you how to do here is outsource low leverage tasks that are draining your most valuable asset, time, to a virtual assistant to make you more money. We're going to show you how to hire VAs, what platforms to use to find good candidates, the types of VAs you should be looking to hire. We're going to give you our full Easy Grow hiring process. We're going to give you our job post templates. We're going to show you how to screen applicants to make sure you're only getting the best quality in. We're going to show you how to book interviews, conduct interviews, decide on who's going to be the best virtual assistant for your company, show you how to decide who to choose, and then essentially offer the job, set up a legal agreement, get them onboarded, and start paying them. So let's get to work. So welcome to Hiring VAs. This resource is going to provide you with our full workflow on how to hire rockstar VAs for your outbound systems. If you have a fear of outsourcing, please just let it go. Simple. Now, we hire VAs in a production line setup where every single VA has one sole task, just like Henry Ford. Now, Henry Ford completely revamped the way that old style car manufacturers worked, and he did everything in a production line system. So he would get a car that comes in, and he'd have one person who's specifically in charge of making the engine. Right? And then the next person, that engine gets transferred to the next department where they build out the shell of that car. Then it gets transferred to the next department where they can put the wheels on, or they can do the window tinting, they can tune the car, and they can do all these things. But the goal behind this is simplicity and full operational, as little operational drag as possible. Now, because of this, we mimic this same framework that Henry Ford used in the automobile industry for hiring VAs. Now, every single VA should occupy only one position and one position only, right? The reason behind this is it protects you from VAs having leverage if they leave on a moment's notice, because this can happen from time to time. VAs will just leave without giving notice and they will be gone. Now, if you have one VA in your business who does everything, then your whole system, your whole business is down. You need to find another lead sourcer, loom recorder, metric tracker, follow-upper, operations assistant, all of that in one, which is why we protect this by having one virtual assistant who operates one sole task in your business. The only time that you should have a VA who's doing multiple tasks is if they've worked with you for over 6 months, ideally over a year. You can trust them, you're paying them well, and you've got some kind of contract in place where you can start offboarding more tasks to them. But when we're going through this module and we're teaching how to just hire virtual assistants, we hire one virtual assistant for every job role. Let's say we want to hire a lead sourcer. We need one person who lead sources leads, and then we'd go ahead and find another virtual assistant to do the lead enrichment for us. And it's very, very important you do this at the start. I don't care if you've hired VAs before. You need to follow this process, because trust me, I have lost so much time, energy, and money from having a virtual assistant who pretty much runs all of my business, and then they leave, then my business is just in tatters for 2 weeks straight, right? So please follow the production line setup just like Henry Ford does it, and you will be fine. So first things first, what should we outsource to a virtual assistant? Now, the bottom line here is that if it's a low leverage task that could theoretically be fucked up without much blowback, this is the perfect position for a virtual assistant. You want to think of VAs as a way to buy back your time, right? Look at what you're currently spending your time in your day-to-day operations running your business, and ask yourself, can I trade my money for this time? This is how high-level 6, 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs think, and it's crucial you start adopting this mindset as soon as you're possible, right? VAs are your ticket in. So the type of examples of things that you should outsource right away are things like lead sourcing, lead enrichment, data cleaners and verifiers, people doing follow-ups for you, people running operational parts of your business, if you want to rent accounts, just low-leverage tasks throughout your day-to-day that take time. Now, what I want you to do is just analyze all the tasks that you do on a day-to-day basis that suck up your most valuable asset, which is your time, and ask yourself, could this theoretically be outsourced to a virtual assistant? And if it was potentially messed up, would there not be much blowback? If that's the case, a VA is perfect for you. Now, contrary to this, what should you not outsource, right? Now, the things you should never ever outsource are things like account configuration, metric management, deliverability management, testing management, or even replying to prospects, appointment booking, right? These things should never be outsourced to a virtual assistant, as they are crucial high-level operations within your business. And if a VA fucks this up, you will suffer the blowback. Now, you can outsource this in the future once you either have a rockstar VA who has proved themselves, or you have your SOPs dialed into a sweet science. But if you're not at that point yet, do not outsource any high leverage task to a virtual assistant. You want to look at the small, low level tasks that are taking up a lot of time and ask yourself, can I outsource this to a virtual assistant? And if it does get fucked up, what's the blowback like, right? You should know straight away some tasks that are taking time that you should not be spending your time on. A virtual assistant is perfect for you. So how do we find VAs, right? So we can either use platforms like Upwork, Online Jobs, or Facebook to find and hire our virtual assistants. And in this resource, we'll be using Upwork as our main place to find virtual assistants, because it's what we personally use and it's what works the best. However, you can use the framework we're going to give you for hiring on other platforms as well, right? So I'll run you through them here. First things first, we have Upwork, which is essentially just that's the wrong link there. Give me 2 seconds. Cool, so I've just amended that resource, slight little mistake on my end. But essentially what we have here is Upwork. Now Upwork, you can use this in a range of different methods. Essentially it's a hiring platform. And what we can do is either search for current people who are hiring for jobs, right? So this, if we go through here and we go to hire talent and we look for search for talent, we can look for jobs that are currently open within our thing. If we want to search, for example, a lead sourcer, we can do this, right? You can use the hiring platform here like this, and there's people who are looking for jobs. They tell you how much they want to be paid, they have a success rate, and they have how much they've earned from doing it. Same for online jobs, we can do the exact same. We can go ahead and go find jobs and look for specific job roles. For example, let's say we wanted to find a lead sourcer. We can do this, and we can look for people who are currently either hiring for a lead sourcer or trying to find a lead sourcer, right? Now, the way we're going to use these platforms is we're not going to actually reach out to people who have posted a job post. We're going to post our own job posts on these platforms, and you can do this by going ahead and just click post a job. Go ahead and sign up using your information. I'll show you how to do it on Upwork, because I've already got one here. We can go ahead and post a job and actually make our own job post, because this is by far the best way to do it. We want to put our job post out there with our own parameters and have people apply to work with us. By doing this, you get a much higher volume, you'll get a lot of applicants, and you'll have a lot more people to work through, right? Now, the final thing here is we can use Facebook groups, okay? Now, Facebook groups are a untapped resource for finding really, really good virtual assistants. And we can do this by simply just putting virtual assistant, right, into the Facebook groups tabs, and we can find people who are currently looking for virtual assistants, right? So for example, if we come here, hiring virtual assistants, we can find a group of people who are looking to become a virtual assistant for online businesses like yourself. And this is an example here that I've put into the chat. Now, full transparency, I've put this one as an example. I've never used it, but this is an example of what a virtual assistant Facebook group would look like. And as you can see, there's 184,000 members in here. You're going to be able to find a really good virtual assistant by putting a job post into this community. Cool. So you can kind of use this as we go. You can even put a job onto online jobs. I'm not going to cover in this training how to use online jobs, but it's pretty straightforward. You can take the foundations that we give you for writing a good job post, and we'll give you the job description so you can post on online jobs. You can do the same for Facebook. Just come to online virtual assistant groups and put your job post as a post into the community. Or on Upwork, this is the main thing we're going to be using for this training. So we're going to use this for the remainder of this training, because by far and above, Upwork, in my experience, gets the best quality virtual assistants, right? So which VAs should you hire? Now, there's typically two types of VAs that you should really look to hire here, okay? You've got two options. You can either hire a virtual assistant from the Philippines, or you can hire a virtual assistant from Bangladesh. These are the only two countries that I'd really recommend hiring a virtual assistant from, because in my experience, hiring a virtual assistant from the Philippines is the best. From Bangladesh is like a close second follow-up. If you hire virtual assistants from anywhere else, like India, Thailand, any other places, then in my experience, it doesn't really work out as well. So I'd recommend just following our routes here, either hire a virtual assistant from the Philippines or from Bangladesh. They're the two countries that, just from my experience, just get rockstar virtual assistants. Now, there's benefits and negatives to both, right? So the upsides of hiring from the Philippines are that they work so hard. My virtual assistants from the Philippines are the hardest working assistants ever, and you will see that if you ever hire from the Philippines. They are agreeable, they're honest, and they are very proficient in English. The downsides of hiring from the Philippines are they are going to charge a little bit more, and they will need training. However, we can automate this training through SOP'd videos, Loom videos that we can teach them, right? Now, the upsides, on the contrary, of hiring someone from Bangladesh are that they typically already have tools for lead sourcing and other roles. So if you say you want to hire a lead sourcer, if you hire from the Philippines, you have to teach them. If you hire from Bangladesh, they will already know what to do. Now, the downside here is the language barrier. I will be completely honest with you. Sometimes their English is not the best, and it's harder to start a really good relationship with them. And that's not a blanket term for every single virtual assistant from Bangladesh, but from my experience, this is what I typically find. There's also some more downsides. So, for example, a larger percentage of them will cut corners if they can get away with it. And I have had specific instances where I've hired a lead sourcer from Bangladesh, and they will just reuse the same leads that they give to me with other clients, which obviously means that your metrics will go down that you're using, right? So use your best judgment here. I don't really necessarily just going for just one or the other. What I would typically recommend doing is opening up the floodgates to both Philippines and Bangladesh and make a decision based on the applicants that they actually put through, because they're going to submit some sample work. They're going to submit a video of how they speak, what they look like. They're going to give you examples of stuff they've done. So you make the decision based on how they submit their application, not on where they're located, right? So I've said this already, but we've consistently had better experiences with hiring virtual assistants from the Philippines and then actually training them on our process, opposed to hiring just someone from Bangladesh, right? Both methods work. You make the decision based on how good their application is and whether or not you just feel like you would want to work with them, right? So the hiring process. So this is the process that we follow every single time when we're hiring a rockstar virtual assistant. And it just works the best in our opinion, right? The first thing you want to do is either go to Upwork, online jobs, or Facebook groups, and you want to post your job post on one of these platforms. You will then wait for candidates to come through. They'll message you, they'll comment, and they will apply to want to work with you, right? From here, we will then screen our candidates. Now, what we do at this stage is we ask for a sample of a specific piece of work we want them to do. For example, if let's say we're hiring for a lead sourcer, we will send them a very short Loom video, a very short set of SOPs, and we'll get them to actually give us 10 leads, right? From there, we will then screen our candidates and decide which one gave the best application, which one stood out among the rest, and then we'll book interviews only with those qualified candidates that we deem fit. From here, we'll then conduct our interviews and hire the chosen candidates. We follow this every single time. This never doesn't work, but please make sure you're doing a job post and you're inviting a lot of people to apply, and then you only interview people who obviously put effort into the sample work that you've asked them to do. So how do we do these job posts? So we hire VAs using a simple job post on either Upwork, online jobs, or Facebook groups. And you can find our example job post here. If you click on this video, on this document, it will open up a cookie cutter copy and paste template that you can post onto any platform. Now, this resource will provide you with an example job post for hiring a VA for lead sourcing. So this has been designed for a lead sourcing role here, right? If you do want to hire for any other roles, just switch out the job descriptions. So essentially anything highlighted in red will need to be edited to fit your hire. And quick note here again, the following resource is designed for Upwork. However, this can be used across other platforms as well. You just want to use the basic structure we're giving you. So when you do go to Upwork and post a job, you get prompted to be this stage where you use AI. I never do this. I just click, I'll do it without AI. From here, it will ask you to verify a phone number. I'm not going to do that because this is a burner account. You want to then start copying and pasting these things in. So first things first, for the title of your job post, you want to go ahead and just copy this like so. So pop this in, VA required to source X niche leads per day with room to grow. Now this bit here you can edit based on what you're actually hiring from. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and do VA required to source 100 agency leads per day with room to grow. Then you click next and go to the skills required. On the next stage, you want to put the skills in they need. For example here, lead generation, data entry, prospect list. You want to go ahead and just put the right things in here. So for me, I'm going to put lead generation, and I'm going to go ahead and just put data entry. I'm not going to put any more in here because it'd just be a waste of time doing this. Cool. And then once you put all of the skills required, and this is not an exhaustive list, this is just what you should put if you're hiring a lead sourcing professional. For example, let's say you're hiring an operations assistant, you can just put operations in here. Let's say you're hiring a loom recorder, you can put loom recorder in here, but that might not actually come up. If we just go ahead and just put like SOPs there, you pretty much just put these skills required on the job you're hiring for, right? So I don't need to give you every single one here. Based on what you're hiring for, there will be one that you can do. I recommend adding at least 3 to 5 skills in here because this is what's going to get you the best quality candidates. So I'd put 3 minimum, 5, any more you can do, the better here, right? Next, the scope of your work. So in this section here, you always want to put longer term work, okay? So you always want to do large, right? And here you want to do more than 6 months because people are going to be looking, VAs are going to want to hire for a long-term position. You don't want to ever put a hiring post out and say it's only going to be for 1 month, right? We want longer term scope of work here, right? For the entry level, you typically want to put entry here. So on this one here, let me go back. This one should actually be medium. Just follow the examples on here. So medium, more than 6 months, and it should be entry level here, okay? So entry level, right? And then yes, this could become full time. And next, choose your location. Now in this section here, you want to select worldwide, and typically you want to put the Philippines in, and you also want to put Bangladesh, okay? Because these are the 2 situations, the 2 countries that we typically like to hire from. So I only ever put candidates, allow candidates to apply who are in these 2 locations. Next, select your budget. So we only pay $3 an hour for virtual assistants. This is the bare minimum that you should pay. Obviously, the more you pay them, the better they're going to be. But typically for a virtual assistant, you will have so many applicants putting this at $3 an hour. If you only want to pay $3 an hour for a virtual assistant, just go ahead and put it at $3 an hour. But however, for this training, I'm going to put $3 to $5 an hour. It's really up to you. Like if you'd like to pay up to $5 an hour, you can do that. Obviously, you can have an interview and sign a contract that actually does the individual amount. I always typically like to put $3 to $5 per hour. Next, we put in the job description. So here, this is the point where we can go ahead and just edit this based on, the platform we're using, right? So as I said, this bit here is mainly designed for Upwork. Online jobs will have a different, screening process you can put in, so just edit it based on what we've got here. But if you're posting on Facebook, if you're posting job descriptions or any of them, this is the job description that you will use. Now again, this will have to be changed. So obviously if you're not a marketing agency, you'll change this to a coaching business. We're hiring a rockstar virtual assistant to help us with the lead sourcing task. You'll change this to whatever task you're hiring for, and then you do a short description of what's you're going to need from them, right? So you'll be required to, and then you do a short description of what they're going to do. Skills required, you can keep these the same. They must have excellent English, a knowledge of Google Sheets, and a knowledge of how to do, and then you mention in the job description here. Then any other skills that you think a virtual assistant will need, put them in here, right? Then technical requirements, they have to have a good laptop, Windows or Mac, ideally a MacBook. And finally, a fast and reliable internet connection. This is very, very important because a lot of virtual assistants, especially in third world countries, they will not have a good internet speed. And we will ask them to provide us a test result of what their internet speed is, and we will use that to decide who we're hiring, right? Now, very, very important here, right? We also put note, put the number 88 in your application so we know you've taken the time to read the description. This is very important, right? Because you'll find a lot of the time virtual assistants will not read the whole description, right? And if they don't read the entire job description, that tells us that they are just applying to hundreds of jobs and they're not really reading what they're getting into. We want someone who's got really good attention to detail, and if they don't put this, is a short little cheat you can do. Pretty much if they do not put 88 into their application somewhere, then just don't even hire them because it tells us that they've not even looked at the proper job description here, right? Then at the end, expect a long-term role with plenty of room to grow. Approximately 2 to 4 hours per day to start, but this can grow if you are good. Once you've edited this to fit the job that you are hiring for, you want to copy and paste it into the job description like so. And go ahead and click review job post. Now from here, you can go ahead and review it if you would like. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and post my job. Now obviously I've not verified my phone number, so I'm not going to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and just click it off. You can go ahead and review everything. Once you've done that, you've verified your account, you've got it all going, you can post the job, right? Super simple, okay? Now, once we have done our job post, you want to wait a few days. Once you post your job post, applicants will start pouring in throughout the night, and we recommend doing 1 job post daily per position, right? So I don't recommend just doing 5 job posts on the same day for the same role, because you're going to get your account banned very quickly. As a bare minimum, I would just do 1 job post every single day for 3 days straight, and ideally for different positions. But if you are just hiring for one position, just repeat the same job post 3 times over. Any more than that and you can risk getting your account banned. So at this stage, once we do actually start getting some applicants coming in, it is imperative that you get them to submit some form of sample work. And we do this so we can analyze how committed they are to the role, and most importantly, their ability to actually carry out the role. So for example, let's say you're hiring for a lead sourcer. What you want them to get them to do once they've actually applied saying they're interested is get them to submit some sample leads, right? And you can do the same for any position, right? Let's say you're hiring an operations assistant, they have to do a very specific role within your company. You'll record them a quick loom, send it to them and say, hey, can you quickly just carry out this role so I can just see how well you are at doing this? Don't worry if it's something they can't typically do, because obviously they will need access to your back end to do that, but just give them an example of what they would do in the field to do that role, right? So if you're hiring a lead sourcer, get them to produce some sample leads. If you're hiring a data enrichment, give them some leads and have them enrich them so you can find the information, right? It's very, very important that you do get some form of sample of their work, right? Because we're going to use that to decide how much attention to detail they have and how committed they are to actually wanting this role, okay? Now what you want to do here is attach a Google form to collect VA responses and then screen them. And we screen them based on the answers they submit on that form. So for example here we have the VA application form. Now you can do this on a Google form, you can send it as a Google Doc. I don't really care how you do it. The best way that I find to do it is just create a really short Google form. And on that Google form, I'll go ahead and just create one with you now. Cool, so I've just come to Google Forms now. I'll put a link into this so you can go ahead and create your own. What you want to do here is just click blank form. It will give you the option to do this. It doesn't really necessarily matter. You can just close this down and you will have your blank form in the background. Now what you want to do is put the title as your job role that you're hiring for, application form, like so. And then subtitle, we're hiring job role, right? So for this, it's going to be for lead sources. For you, you can really do whatever you want to do here, okay? Then we want to add the following question. So what country are you based in, right? So we can do what country are you based in, and you want to select it as a short answer, okay? You then want to duplicate that and continue and build out this entire form here. So I'm going to pause the video quickly and just add all these questions in. Cool, so I just built out this Google form for you guys. I will paste a templated link of this form so you can just copy and paste it straight into your own Google Forms homepage, and you can just send it to lead sources or the VAs that you're going to be hiring. And this is essentially what it looks like. So the first thing we do is ask what country they're based in with a short answer text. We then provide a link to a Google Sheets document with 5 sample leads. Follow the instructions in the document we sent you, and then we can go ahead and remove this. Apologies, like so. Now this bit's very, very important, right? Because here, you want to actually get them to submit some kind of sample work here, right? So what you do when you actually go ahead and send that message to them, and I'll go through this in a second, is you send them a message saying, hi, I'm impressed with your application, first name, please fill out the following form and complete the sample work so we can consider you for an interview. Here are the SOPs for the sample work. And what you do here in the message is just link a short loom or a short SOP document that shows them how to submit some kind of sample work. Again, if you get them to source leads, give them some very short SOPs on how to do that so you can just find out how good they're going to be at doing this role, right? Then you say talk to them a bit and attach this Google form. So when they've got this Google form, they've already got the link to the SOPs, and they go ahead and put the result here so you can verify it and see how good it is. Next, provide a Google Drive link to a 60-second selfie video answering these 2 questions. We want to find out their name and why we should pick you. Again, what we're looking for here is someone who has good English and someone who has obviously put effort into the video. If they don't attach a video, you won't even interview them, right? We just use this to get a base level understanding of what the person speaks like and how committed they are based on how well they fill out this. Okay, why we should pick you. They will give you a lot of ammunition here that you can use to make a decision. Then just a short little confirmation. Obviously this video needs to be viewable, so we say, hey, please confirm that you've made the Google Sheet in 60-second video viewable. Note, if you have applied and we cannot see these two things, the meeting will be cancelled and you will not be able to reschedule. But yes here. Then we ask them what laptop they have. We need to get the both model and year, and ideally what we're looking for here is MacBooks, right? We want a virtual assistant with an Apple computer because we know Apple has the best operating system, so that's what's going to get the best quality candidates. It's going to tell us pretty much how quickly they can work here, right? Then again, please check the box to verify that you are aware that the salary you've signed for this role is not negotiable. Again, we don't want people coming back and saying, I want $10 an hour. No, what we put on the job post is exactly what we're going to do, so they understand that they cannot go any further than this, right? Then finally, provide a Google link to a screenshot of your internet speed. This is very, very important because we want VAs who have a good internet speed here. So they can come on here, they can do an internet speed, click go, and you can see exactly how good their internet speed is. As you can see, I'm flexing my very good internet speed right now. Ideally, you want anything over like 250 or 500. If it's below 250, they're going to struggle with some of the, especially the more, tech intensive tasks. So please make sure that you are getting a VA with a good internet speed here, right? And they want to provide a screenshot in the Google Doc and that it is viewable for them to look, right? Cool. So once you've actually got this VA application form, go ahead and edit it to fit your needs. You'll then send them this question, this templated question. Again, I'm impressed with your application first name. It's important here you do give them the SOPs and you also give them the Google form, right? The next step here is we then need to book interviews with qualified candidates. So once you've sent out your sample invitations and Google forms, you should start getting some submissions in over the next few days. Now, how do we look at their submissions and decide which VAs we actually want to interview? So we screen our VA applicants based on 4 things. Number 1, and the most important thing, is the quality of their sample submitted, because this is going to tell you in the real world example how good they are at doing the job role that you are hiring for, right? So if they're submitting leads, look at the lead quality, look at how they found it, look at the email, try and do it yourself and see, hey, am I happy with the quality of the submission? And the same goes for any kind of sample that you're getting. Verify all of them, and the quality of the sample they've submitted will tell you everything. So these are listed in order of priority, right? The quality of the sample they have submitted is far above the most important part of the submission. So this is the number 1 thing you'll use to make a decision. After this, let's say you have a few VAs who are very good, they've produce good samples. The next thing you'll look at is the quality of their 60-second video, right? How well have they tried to convince you that they are the perfect fit for this job? And the longer the video is, the better they speak in English and the better reasoning they give you will give you qualitative, real-world examples of how good they are going to be when you actually hire them. So the next thing is the quality of their 60-second video. If, for example, you have a few VAs who have a very good sample submitted, the quality of their video is very good, the next 2 things you'll look at is their laptop specs and their internet speed. I put laptop specs first because typically if they have a good, operating system on their computer, but their internet speed is low, we know they're going to do a better job than someone who's on like a really old laptop but with good internet speed, right? And you should do it in this order. By far and above, the most important thing is the quality of the sample they actually submit to you. So for example, if they produced a good sample but have a slow internet speed, we would prioritize the candidate over someone who has a good internet speed, a good laptop, and a good video introduction, but the sample they submitted was poor. We do this in order. So the main thing is quality of the sample, then quality of the 60-second video, then laptop specs, then internet speed, okay? Once you've isolated the best candidates, you then want to invite them to an interview. Now we need to host this interview on Calendly. So what we want to do here is go to Calendly and create a new event called VA Interviewer, and then in the bracket, the role that you are hiring for. So for me, I'll go to my Calendly, I'll click Create, and just get a one-to-one meeting here, right? You want to call it VA Interview, then in brackets, the job that you're hiring for. So for me, I'll go ahead and just put lead sourcer. Next, it should be 5 minutes long. Make sure you have lots of availability, especially early in the morning or late in the evening if your time zone does not align with the Philippines. So you've got to take into account the VAs that you're going to be hiring for. Typically, if you live in the UK, US, Europe, the Philippines is normally going to be very late at night for you, okay? So I typically set up a meeting that is going to work so that they can actually book in, right? Now, VAs typically, they will work throughout the night, so it's not an imperative thing that you have to have like midnight open just to do VA interviews. What I typically recommend doing is either the end of your workday or the beginning of your workday, just set an hour-long or 2-hour-long block, which you can open up to do interviews, okay? Now, you want to set this 5 minutes long, okay? So here, duration, you want to set this, well, we can't do 5 minutes, we'll do 15 minutes, okay? And then for here, availabilities, you want to set this for a time outside of your working hours. You want to make sure that they can only book in 1 day out into the future, and make sure that it's a time zone that's going to work and make the most sense, right? So here you can edit it, and for example, I'm only going to take bookings between, let's say I'm in the UK and I know Philippines workers, they work typically late at night. I'll do it from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. like so. And I'll pretty much repeat this process for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Just make sure you do actually have those availabilities open. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and create your event. Like so. Now you've got the VA interview ready to go. And now you can see they can only book in for 1 day out between a certain time zone, okay? Now it's up to you, like obviously, you know, these are only SOPs here. You can just have literally all day open. You can have 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Trust me, VAs are happy booking in literally any time. They will work throughout the night to line up with US and UK hours. So it's really up to you how you do this. You can do it for very late at night. You can do it very early in the morning. You can do it all day. It's up to you. I promise you, whatever times you really have open here, they will book into. All right. Set up as a Zoom meeting so you can connect it directly and integrate it with Calendly. You should already have done this in the Acquisition Genesis Calendly configuration video, so this should already link to a Zoom meeting for you, okay? You have more options here, so you can go ahead and put the limits and buffer times. So you can set the buffer time after the meeting. So for example, well, we want to set this to 0 minutes so someone could book in. Max meetings, you can have this unlimited per day. You can actually ask questions on the form. I don't recommend doing any of this. Just have it open so a VA can actually book a time meeting, right? Now I'm going to go back to this bit here because if I go ahead and edit this one, I'm going to go ahead and just set this for 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. all day long. We can do 9 a.m. to like 10 p.m. all day long. So we can have VAs booking throughout the day so we can conduct interviews for them. Just essentially edit this so you know that you're going to be taking a VA call in a time that they're not likely going to be available, and it's not going to completely drastically interfere with your day-to-day scheduling, right? Typically, early in the morning or later at night is best for the Philippines and Bangladesh, so I definitely have some times available throughout that. And again, we recommend you only let people book a maximum of 1 weekday into the future. If you do any more than 1 weekday, then the show-up rate will be very bad. Just do 1 weekday, and that's where you're going to get the best, you know, interviews coming in, right? So next, once you've created your Calendly event, we now want to actually go ahead and interview we want to invite candidates for an interview, right? So once you've isolated candidates you want to interview based on the above qualifications, you next want to invite them to schedule a call with you by sending the following message. So on the platform, if you're speaking to them, you say, hey, I'm impressed with your application, first name, book a call with us using the link below. There are some questions on the booking page, but it should not take you more than 10 minutes to fill this out. Talk to you in a bit. Now we can actually remove this. We've changed the framework a little bit, right? Like so. I'm impressed with your application, first name, book a call with us using the link, talk to you in a bit. And then you just send the Calendly link. Now again, you only send this to people who have applied, sent you the sample, sent you the video, given you their laptop specs and internet speed, they filled out the Google form, and then from here we can invite them to an interview. Now you want to make a note of all of your candidates on the VA candidate sheet here, right? Now we have some templates here based on the role you're hiring for. So for example, we have lead sourcer, loom recorder, and loom sender on here if you do want to hire for those specific roles, but you can pretty much edit this to fit your needs here, right? So here you can have the name, the email, the sheet they submitted, the videos they submitted, whether or not they were on time, whether or not they had their camera on, how they answered the questions, what you thought of the questions, your notes here, and the decision you ultimately made here. And what I would do is invite all of your VAs to an interview. The second they actually book in a call with you, put their name in here, track all their stuff, so you can use this to make a decision after you've conducted all the interviews, right? Okay, in the next step, we then want to actually start interviewing our virtual assistants. Now, there's one final thing you need to do the evening before you actually start conducting these interviews, right? So once people do start to book into your calendar for the next day, you want to rearrange the calls so you take them 15 minutes apart. Now, the last thing you want to do here is have 4 calls with virtual assistants spread out over a full working day, right? Instead, what you want to do is rearrange them the evening before so they're back-to-back interviews. Yes, some of them won't be able to make the new time, but honestly, it's surprisingly few. An interview like this is very, very important to them, right? Now, when you actually start booking calls in, your calendar will look something like this. You may have a call with an interview with a VA at like 9 a.m., then 10 a.m., then 12, 1, 1:30 p.m., right? It will look something like this from my experience. What you typically want to do here is bring down the meeting size to 15 minutes and put them all back to back within the same hour. Because the reason we're hiring virtual assistants here is to save us time. And having you in like meeting waiting mode for an entire workday is just not a good use of your time as a business owner. So you want to start rearranging this the night before, and don't worry, I promise you I've done this hundreds of times before. They will be able to make this time. Most virtual assistants in locations like the Philippines and Bangladesh, for them a opportunity to work from home on their laptop and earn $3 to $5 an hour is a dream position, because in most of these countries the only real opportunity they have is to work in like a factory and get paid like $1 an hour, maybe not even that. I've heard horror stories of that, of places over there. So a job like this is a really big opportunity for them. So you want to just not be concerned that they're not going to show up or have concerns. They will make the new time whatever you tell them. Okay, so what you want to do here is take the times that you got booked in for the following day, do this the evening before, and just start editing these calls, right? So you want to find the first one here, and again, make sure it's early in the morning or late in the evening. If you open up your calendar for like a morning slots between like 9 and 1:30, like I have here, then you want to go ahead and just edit these. So the first thing you do is click on this first one, edit the time, and do them in 15-minute blocks. So this one will run from 9 a.m. until 9:15 a.m. and go ahead and click save. For the next one, you then want to change that to go directly after the following one. So we'll do from 9:15 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. like so. And you want to repeat this process until you have all of your VA interviews back to back within the same hour. We want to literally just put 1 hour total to do these interviews. They will not go that long. This is exactly how we want to structure it. And go ahead and just change all your interviews so they are filling up a maximum of a 1 hour slot. And if you do have more than 4 meetings, you can go ahead and just do that like so. Then straight away we've got 4 VA interviews in a 1 hour block. We can hop on the calls, ask them the questions, spend 15 minutes, and then you don't have to waste a whole work day doing this. And again, don't worry, they will be able to make the new time. Sometimes someone won't be able to make it, but I promise you 9 times out of 10 they will be able to make this time. This is the most efficient way to conduct virtual assistant interviews. So when you do actually hop on the call and interview them, you want to refer to this resource for information on best interviewing practices. And we give you some questions here on what to ask them. Now, all we're trying to do with the interview is just find out a little bit more about them. And the main thing we're trying to do here is just decide whether or not we want to work with them, okay? So these are the best practices here, right? So first things first, have your candidate spreadsheet open for each interview and make sure you change the questions to suit the ones you pick below, right? Think of the qualities you are looking for in a virtual assistant and make sure you have opportunities to explore these qualities during the interview. For example, if you want them to be punctual, see if they show up on time. If you want them to have good attention to detail, ask them a question about something in the application process they might have forgot, right? Again, don't make it too easy for them. You want to uncover their weaknesses, what their weaknesses are, by asking hard and complicated questions instead of just directly asking them stuff, right? Throw them a curveball, like how's your family life? You know, how's your relationship with your parents, right? Things that are pretty much force them to think on the spot, then you can analyze how well they are actually going to think and talk on the spot, okay? Pay more attention to how they answer questions than what they actually say here. Very important, right? Think about how they are talking, what's their cadence, what they're saying, because exactly how you're talking to them in this interview is how they're going to talk to you when you actually manage them in their work. Listen to the sounds they make, right? Especially when they ask a question they haven't prepared for. See, if you ask a question that's a bit of a curveball, see if they sigh and they mumble. Like, these are all things that are going to transfer into when you actually manage them, right? Be sure you're getting actual straight answers. For example, if you're asking them for an example, and they give you a general answer, dig back in and decide and get an actual example. So for example, if you say to them, give me an example of a company you've worked for in the past and give me an example of a time that you really worked well within that company, right? If they say to you, oh yeah, I went above and beyond in these things, be like, no, give me a specific real world example where in this previous company you did something tangible and find out, right? Follow up with these responses with, like, for example, like, it sounds like you hesitated with that one. Like, what would that be about? This might feel uncomfortable at first, but trust me, 9 times out of 10, they'll uncover the answer for you. This is mainly used if they give you an answer that you don't really feel is the truth. Say to them, hey, look, I kind of felt like you hesitated there. What would that be about? right? Just try and dig down and find out exactly about them, right? You want to find out what their weaknesses are, right? Do not ask what their weaknesses are. Instead, ask about their dislikes, the parts of the job they don't look forward to or wish someone else would do for them, right? Ask about favorites and least favorites. For example, what's the best boss you've ever had? What made them so great? Now tell me about a boss you didn't like so much, right? Tell me about your favorite part of your job, your least favorite part of the job, right? You want to find out exactly what they've done in the past, where they stand with stuff, and just like, it'll just help you gauge how much of a good fit they're going to be for you, right? Throughout the whole interview, keep a casual tone to the conversation, and this will help them open up and be themselves. You don't want to be forcing questions on them, right? These are just general frameworks that you should really uphold. I'd read this a few times and just think about all the things they're saying, because it's not really what they're saying, it's how they're saying it that will give you information that you can use to dig deep and find out more about what they actually truly mean when they're answering your questions, right? So here are the questions, right? There's pretty much like, 13 questions here. I would just choose the 5 that are going to be the best fitted for the role, right? So you open up the call. Hey, it's William Selway here with Imperium Agency. How are you doing today? Let them respond. Excellent. Well, if you're ready, we can jump straight in and kick off this interview, right? So let's just start here. First of all, I'd love to know, what sort of work are you doing right now? How come you're looking for something new? And at this point, listen to what they're saying. If they say that they need more than money, right? Okay, why do you need more money, right? What is it about your situation where you need more money? You can find out exactly why they're applying for it. Okay. Can you give me an example of how to effectively organize your time when managing prospects for clients? And again, if they give you like a overall response here, don't accept that. Dig deeper and ask for tangible examples of times when they've, effectively ordered their time, right? Give me an example of a time when a problem came up with your work, but you couldn't get hold of a project manager, so you had to solve on your own. How did you handle that situation? What does your dream client look like? Can you tell me about a past client? What you want to do here is just choose 5 or 6 interview questions that are going to be best used so that you can actually hire a specific VA for the role you're going for, right? Then when you finish asking all your questions, okay, so these are all the questions I have for now. We're interviewing a few more people and we'll have a decision by, the date you want to hire. We'll let you know via email you booked the call with. If you've been successful or not, thanks for your time. And you want to connect these in 15-minute slots and make a note of them in the VA candidates. So you want to have this spreadsheet open whilst you're doing it. So when you log whether or not they're on time, log whether or not they had a camera, ask the first question, write down their response, ask the second question, write down their response. How did you feel about the questions? Are you going to hire them? And then decision, do you think they're hireable or not, right? Super simple process. Again, don't overthink this. Just go through, read the best practices here and understand, really try and dig deep on their questions and ask really good open questions. And then finally, just choose 5 or 6 of these to ask based on the role you're hiring for, and you will be absolutely fine. Next, you need to actually decide which VA you want to work with. Now, to decide this, just think about the long term, honestly. Who do you want to work with? And who fits into the desired culture of your business? When you're analyzing these interviews, ask yourself, will I enjoy working with this person? Can I offload more work to them in the long term? Are they diligent and efficient? And based on their interview answers and application videos, are they a good fit, right? Making the decision is ultimately down to you. And I have no resources or specific steps I can give you to do this. But you just want to kind of decide, who will I enjoy working with? Who has the capacity to want to do more work? Are they diligent? Are they efficient? Have they shown to me that they've done a role like this before and they're going to be a good job? Do they really want this position, right? And also have a backup, right? So think about who you want the most and then think about who you would want if they decided not to take the job. Don't tell losing candidates they've lost until you've onboarded the winner. So this is very, very important. Don't do all of your interviews and then choose one person and then tell everyone else to F off, right? You want to leave the door open. Once you made a decision on who you're hiring after all the interviews, you want to tell the number one candidate that you want to hire them and then leave everyone else in limbo until you've actually physically onboarded this person, because you want backups. You want to be able to hire a backup VA if everything doesn't go to plan. And then finally, offering the job. Once you've made your decision, send the winning candidate the job offer. And you do this via email, right? And you want to pretty much use the email that they signed up to with Calendly. Pretty much if you do this through Upwork, you're going to have to pay, and it's a headache. Trust me, just don't conduct the interviews or sign them on through Upwork, because it's awful, right? And you may have some troubles with doing that. If you do have any issues, pop a post in the community. But yeah, pretty much avoid paying through Upwork, because it's just not a good way to hire virtual assistants. You want to do it via the email they signed up to with Calendly. And what you want to do is say, hey, first name, I have great news. We'd love to hire you and join us for the long term. This is very important here. You want to give them a few days to think, because if you go ahead and hire them, they're going to be in a really emotional state. They're going to be in an emotional high. Yes, I've got the job. Yes, I'm excited. And whether or not they take it right there and then on the spot is going to be clouded by how they're feeling at that moment. You want to give them time for their emotions to come back down to baseline. All right. So what we say here is, say, before you say yes, I want you to take a day or two to think it through. So this is definitely the right role for you, and make the right decision for you to make. Right. Feel free to take 24 hours. It's because we want you to be a long-term team member for our team, and I want you to be interested in the work you will be doing. And then you explain the main job roles. You say, here's what you're going to be doing, here's what you're going to be doing, and here's what you're going to be doing. After this, there will still be room for growth and promotions, but I do not know where those leads yet, since I'm still growing and don't know what is still around the corner. So please take your time and think about your answer. Then you give them the date you want to get started. We're looking to get started on this date, paying you X amount, and you expect X hours of work per day, Monday to Friday. Let me know if you're happy to take the job, and I'll speak to you soon. Right? Just pretty much send this, edit it to put in your own role requirements, and let them take time. Normally, it's a sign they're going to be a very good virtual assistant if they do take the time. If they do take the role straight away, I'll always ask the question, hey, is this actually the right person for me? But by this point, you should have a good gauge on what you really should be hiring for, right? Okay, cool. So once you have hired your VA, you do need to send a legal contract agreement. Now, don't worry. This legal agreement is mainly just used so the VA does not share intimate details about your company or leaves on a moment's notice. This VA contract agreement is mainly used just to stop them from quitting and stop them from sharing information. You can't really enforce the contract agreement because obviously they're going to be living in a different country to you, and you wouldn't really want to anyway because it's going to cost you a lot of money. This is mainly just used as a fail-safe so the VA feels like they can't just quit or share information. It just protects you in the instance where they may decide to leave or do something in a negative light, right? Now, once your candidate has agreed to work with you, you need to set an agreement to make things official. Now, you want to do this using DocuSign or whatever e-signature provider you typically use. Now, I'm not going to run through the SOPs for DocuSign in this video because, full transparency, I am logged into the company one, so I can't actually share anything on that thing right now. But if you do want to do it, just follow these SOPs step by step. It's super simple. You pretty much take the VA agreement that we've got here. You can pretty much download this copy here and just use it word for word, upload it into DocuSign, and pretty much anything highlighted yellow you will add as a thing that they need to actually sign in and put their information in, and then go ahead and sign it at the bottom. It's super simple. Any context in doing this, just follow these SOPs that we've made for you and you can go ahead and do it. Again, note, don't worry about the contract stating different tasks from the single task you have hired them from. Just use the contract template as like a general rule for all of your hires, right? This contract is simply to make things official and increase your VA's trust in you. Trust me, a lot of them have been burned by companies in the past, not paying them. This kind of helps them just feel at home and also protects you as well, right? Cool. And finally, payout tracking. So once you have actually hired your VAs, you'll need to keep a log of their payments. In terms of payment structure, we recommend you pay your VAs on the premise that if they complete the task given, e.g. they're sending 50 looms a day or recorded 50 looms, or they have sourced 100 leads, they get paid a certain amount. Hourly pay for non-project based tasks incentivizes inefficiency. So we track payments and receive invoices in a specific folder system that keeps things organized. It's the responsibility of your VA to update their payout tracking sheet daily after their work has been performed. An example of our folder system can be found here. So if you click on this, you can pretty much see a Google Drive on how we organize all of our VAs. So we have the name of the job that we have hired for, and in here we have the name of the VA, and in here we have the invoices that they're going to be sending through, listed by month to month with the Imperium freelancer invoice template in here. You can take this and edit it and give it to your VA so you can actually get a formal invoice from them. Within every single one of these, you will put the invoice for that specific month. In here we also have the payout tracker. So for example, if they're sourcing leads or providing an action, you have a way to track them all for every single individual role. So go ahead and just copy this document that we've got here. Go ahead and feel free to duplicate whatever you want in this folder. We've pretty much given you everything you need to track your payments and actually pay your VAs, get invoices and actually pay them. Obviously, change Charlie Morgan with the name of your VAs. Obviously, this is a placeholder to change it to the names of your virtual assistants. But feel free to have a look in there and just see how we do it. And you can copy that pretty much word for word. And finally, paying your VAs, the exciting part here. So it's actually time to pay your VAs. We've tried multiple payment processes and found Wise to be the best. Wise is the best just simply due to the fact that it's easy to use, easy to convert money, and the transaction fees are minimal. On the first of every single month, you hop into your payout tracking sheets and you verify all of their work at once. So pretty much on the first of every single month, when the month is ending, you go into your individual virtual assistant job, you find the virtual assistant you want to track, and you go into their payout tracker. Now in here, you want to go through and verify one by one whether or not they have done the work up to a standard and you are going to pay them out for it. Super simple. You then take a note of how much you owe to pay them. And on the second, your VA must create an invoice, right? So this is very important. On the first of every single month, you check their payout tracking sheet. You then shoot them a message saying, hey, I've verified your payments. This is how much you're due to be paid. Can you please create an invoice and put it into the monthly folder? They will have access to all of the invoices at the bottom. They'll create their own version, put it into the folder. When they've created that, then on the third, you pay out your VAs. And you do this using Wise. You want to go ahead and create a business account. Again, I'm not going to show you how to do this because I'm technically not allowed to because I can't show you how to set up banking. But it's super simple. Go ahead and just follow these SOPs here, and you can go ahead and create a payment and pay your VAs. Any questions, just follow these SOPs, and it's super forward. And congratulations, you've now recruited your rockstar virtual assistant. So guys, if you have any questions about this whole process, please pop a message into the community on School and tag me. I'll be more than happy to help you out. You should now have everything at your fingertips, at your disposal, ready to go ahead and hire virtual assistants and buy back your most valuable asset, which is your time. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.